Now, with that win, the Browns now move into second place in the AFC North, and we move into one of my favorite segments. We're Inty in the Notebook, where we'll touch on a story you've heard but you want to know more about, a story you haven't heard and want to know more about, and of course, we'll look ahead to the upcoming week and what stories we should be following. So let's welcome in the man with that fantastic post-game interview, Evan Washburn. Evan, you've been covering this team so closely this season. You've seen the highs, you've seen the lows, and everything in between. But the one constant with that Browns team has been the head coach. Given all the adversity they've faced, they still are 7-3. I mean, should Kevin Stefanski be considered a Coach of the Year candidate?
Haley, I think so. And I really appreciated the way that he let us in our meetings this week ahead of that game into how he approaches the idea of messaging. And look, I tirelessly work to cut through coach speak. And you know this, you've covered sports long enough and been around coaches and players. They want to, for the most part, not let you in. And one way of doing that is provide you with cliches, motivational quotes, things they read in a leadership book somewhere. But throughout all that, there are things that can anchor teams and bring teams together, especially when they're facing adversity. And you look at what the Browns have been through this year, and it's been a roller coaster for everyone on the outside, from fans to media covering this team. And then you factor in what Kevin Stefanski's been through over the course of his now 4 years in Cleveland. He came in during COVID. The following year, they had to deal with Baker Mayfield's shoulder injury and some drama that came with that. Then last year, it was all the negative attention that came from signing Deshaun Watson. And then this year, finally, when they feel like they've put that all to bed, Deshaun Watson gets injured, not just for the season ender, but early in the year that forced Dorian Thompson-Robinson to step in and PJ Walker. And through all that, he's been the most constant voice in that building. And you talk to players and they've really found comfort in it. And he takes a lot of pride in that messaging, Haley. He told us it's the biggest part of his job. Remember, he's the play caller of this offense as well, that no one talks about. And his big message and main message, while it does have some coach speak in it, is that no one cares. Nobody cares what they're going through. And it's about them getting their job done and finding a way to win each week. And I think that it's really been a rallying cry for this group.
Yeah, he's really been quite incredible. And get this, his next test is the Broncos, which 3 weeks ago, it didn't really mean anything, but clearly a challenge with how well that team has been playing. On the other side, though, you have a Steelers team who has struggled in the run game. They might have found their answer, though, in Jaylen Warren, the former undrafted free agent, with 9 carries for 129 yards and a touchdown. Evan, in your opinion, do you think this is the answer for the Pittsburgh ground game?
I don't see how it couldn't be. And look, Najee Harris is still going to be a part of that conversation, but I want to introduce or continue to try and introduce Jaylen Warren to the football world, because I think he's a star in the making. He's Austin Eckler 2.0, not just in body type, but in play style, both undrafted guys. And got a chance to spend some time with him this week, as well as his high school coach, to get a sense of what this player is all about. Because at that running back position, as we know, and as was a big topic in the offseason, they at times feel like interchangeable parts, but there are personalities and stories behind each of them. And his is unique in the sense that he came from Salt Lake City, Utah, had to play junior college football to get a chance at Utah State, then find his way to Oklahoma State, and then go undrafted, and basically was a guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers took a flyer on, invited them to the rookie mini camp. And Mike Tomlin told us on Saturday, he saw immediately at that camp, he goes, oh, we're bringing this guy to training camp. And then all he's done from there on is show this team that he can be trusted and he can make plays at a high level. And then there's his mentality, Haley. And we touched on this briefly during the game, but as you know, those windows are pretty small. So this is why it's great to be on this show and get a chance to tell this story. He doesn't take his helmet off. And I'm not just talking like he doesn't take it off when he's getting ready to go in the game, or he's strapped up when Najee's getting his carries. He literally doesn't take it off when the defense is on the field. We showed this great picture during the broadcast as well, where at that rookie minicamp, where he had to prove himself to get a shot to go to training camp, they did a picture with all the rookies and the coaches, and everybody's casual. They got their helmets off. Nobody's wearing pads. And there's Jaylen in the middle of the picture with his helmet on, flexing a little bit too. And it just speaks to where he comes from. Again, Salt Lake City, East High School, head coach Brandon Mattich, and he taught his players that when you're on a football field, the helmet doesn't ever come off unless you need to fix it, or you never take a knee. And I think Jaylen, when I spoke to him, has taken that mentality not just to college football, but now to the NFL. And I really do think that he's going to become a special back in this league. And if nothing else, he's going to be on everybody's fantasy list heading into this week.
Hey, man, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That is the mantra. The Steelers are going to need him to keep it going anyways. They've been outgaining 10 straight games. That's tied for the longest streak in the NFL. So something has to keep going there for that Steelers ground game. Evan, before we let you go, let's look ahead for this Browns team. The AFC North has been one of the most competitive divisions this season. Now they're relying on that rookie quarterback to hopefully lead them to the promised land. You saw the emotion and what it meant to get his first win for DTR. What can the Browns do to help him continue being successful?
And Haley, I agree with you. The AFC North has been one of the best divisions of football, but I think that's going to change pretty dramatically here in the final 7 weeks of the season based off of what has happened to the quarterback position, including the Browns and having to now start Dorian Thompson-Robinson. But they're built to, use a Mike Tomlin term, engineer victory despite the deficiency they might have. I believe Dorian Thompson-Robinson will get better as this season goes on, but he's still going to have rookie hurdles and roadblocks and setbacks that are just the nature of seeing things for the first time. But the defense, as we know and have said all season, is special. And I think going back to Kevin Stefanski and his ability to see how to win games and not get caught up in our offense needs to do this, I need to be this productive as the leader of this offense and the play caller. When I spoke to him at halftime, his point to me was, we don't turn it over and let our defense take care of it. And that's the story for Cleveland. But then there's just the math, Haley. They got 7 games to go. They just have to go 3-4 in this final 7, and they're 10-7 to finish the year. And I think that gets you in the playoffs. And if you told the Browns that they were going to have P.J. Walker start 2 games, playing 3, and now have Dorian Thompson-Robinson as your starter to close out the year, and you're making the playoffs and you're not the final seed even getting in, anybody would take that. And I think that's a real reality because you also look at their schedule in these final 7, and they've only got, at this point, 2 teams on that list that are sitting with a winning record. Everybody else is 500 or worse. So I think the Browns are not necessarily in a great spot because obviously you'd rather have Deshaun Watson playing quarterback for you. But I think they're in a spot where they can manage their way to the postseason, which, again, would sound like a pipe dream basically a week ago.
Yeah, it's very true. And as we know, any given Sunday in the NFL, things can change so quickly. Evan, it's always such a pleasure to get to hear from you here on HQ. We appreciate your time and your insight. It's one of the best football weeks in the NFL, and the Thanksgiving slate is a good one on CBS, starting with the annual Cowboys game. This year, Dallas will host the Commanders on Thursday, a game you can watch right here on CBS or stream it on Paramount Plus. Just one of the many games happening across our platforms.